Lease agreement and tenant relationship.
Right, honestly, this is the heart of your investment business. Now, the lease can make or break an entire relationship between the landlord and the tenant, and making sure everything is there in writing makes it a little bit more harmonious. Everybody is clear on what their rules and regulations are, and that makes everybody a happier person. So let's talk about first the lease agreement, then we'll go into tenant relations.
Exactly. Therefore, we wanted to talk first about anatomy of the lease agreement, and the lease agreement is a binding contract between the landlord or lessor and tenant, which is leasee, and all the terms that comes with that under that contract.
Right. The lease duration is going to be the length of the lease. This can range from month to several years. So it's important to have an end date for both parties to really understand the commitment of that paperwork.
Exactly. And then second things beside of that you wanted to mention and be clear is the rent details. That includes the monthly payment, due date, payment method, and also outline the fees and procedure for any payment default.
The next thing that's super important is having deposit and fees. A typical lease is going to have a security deposit, the conditions in which the landlord can keep the security deposit, and outline other fees such as pet fees, maintenance fees, things of that sort.
Exactly. And now that part of the agreement also should mention about property description, which should have clear understanding of the rental property, including the address, type of the property, and including the furnishing and amenities there.
Right. The next thing that's going to be important is going to have maintenance and repairs. Who is responsible for what is very important. Who's paying that electric bill? Who's paying for these things? Who's fixing? So the importance of maintenance and repairs has to be the difference between a landlord and a tenant. And we have to know our responsibility.
And now we wanted to do our introduction.
Absolutely. Let's hit it. Hi, it's Alan Victoria. Welcome to our channel and podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Also, you call text all the time, 252-327-3357. We love talking to you. Don't be shy. Also, grab our buyer's guide and seller's guide in the description below.
Now, the next thing that we wanted to talk about is, you already talked about rules.
You run
and
rules. No, that's you.
Regulation. Therefore, this covers basically the house rules, such as noise levels, the noise level. No, what else?
Pet policies, smoke regulations, subletting policies, all the rules that you're going to put in place here.
Exactly. The next thing is the termination and basically a renewal clause, which this agreement should have detailed the condition under which the lease can be terminated or renewed, and also including the notice that you need prior to that termination for either of the party, that when they're going to end or they wanted to extend it.
Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is tenant relations. A good tenant relation stems from communication, responsiveness to the communication, and respect for privacy. So these are the three kind of tenants landlords and tenant lessees really want from each other, and communication is key. Do you want to break down that more?
Yeah, the next thing is like a maintenance.
No, communication is key, which means establishing clear and open channels for communication to address issues promptly and effectively. Regular keeping updates on changes to the lease or the changes to the market fosters trust, and we want to foster trust. Now talk about
exactly.
maintenance.
The next thing is the maintenance responsibility, and basically this is upon the request, which party is responsible to make that.
But responding to the tenant relationship is really when they call you about this problem. How you respond fast will bring in satisfaction and encourage tenants to treat the property well, because they see that you're coming to be responsive.
And then reassuring the tenants, as my wife said, the relationship between the tenant and the landlord. The next one is the conflict resolution. Lease also should include any procedure for raising and resolving dispute. That this could steps for the complaint filing or what else, and timeline that how basically dispute can be handled.
Also, we're going to talk about regular maintenance as well, where we conduct regular property inspections to make sure that the property is livable, and this also reassures the tenant that you are keeping up the upkeep of this home.
Exactly. The next one is you talk about privacy, no? The privacy is respecting tenant privacy. And also the landlord needs a prior notice before entering the property, except the emergency cases, and is need to be basically trust building practices between tenant and the landlord.
Now, it's important that this is a well-written lease. It helps clear up every detail. We have to make sure that this lease is legally compliant, avoiding state and local guidelines. You want to make it fair and clear, using plain language so everybody understands it, so we're not using ambiguity words. And then comprehensive, so we're covering up as much as possible. We're covering there to avoid conflict. So we're putting everything in there as much as possible. What do tenants have the right to do?
And here we wanted to address the tenant rights and responsibility. And then, of course, tenant have some rights and also some obligation which need to be fulfilled. And the first thing is paying on time the rent. No, that definitely is specified in lease very clearly. What else? The second one?
You have to maintain the property, keeping the property clean, avoiding damages beyond normal wear and tear. Respecting rules is another one. Tell me about that.
The respecting rules basically is respecting and adhering to all the rules and regulation outlined in your lease.
And I would recommend, but it is not required everywhere, is that many leases do require a tenant to have renter's insurance. This way, if something does happen to the property, there is insurance to make sure that there's something is covered. So let's talk about this lease agreement. It sets a positive lease lessee tenant relationship, and that is kind of the key to all of this. You want to have a nice relationship, therefore it's there. It also gives you structure in the business transaction.
Exactly.
This is boundaries and guidelines for how to manage situations with there. So you want to add anything else?
And then also during this time of the lease period, both parties need to be respectful, had open communication, and also this relationship is the key for the successful rental experience.
So we hope you found these videos useful. We are making a nice little series for this for you in case you're wondering to be a landlord or to start your investment journey. We'd love to help you with that.
And don't forget to call Alan Victoria Pinder, real estate agent in local Greenville and Greenville, North Carolina, that we can help you. And also watch this video and see you in next podcast and video.